I'm Marcus Romer, and that's at Marcus Romer if you're on Twitter. But I'm the Artistic Director of Pilot Theatre, which is a national touring company. We're based at York Theatre Royal. We tour nationally and internationally. What we've got to recognise is that the shifts that have happened over the past, even 5 years. I mean, we're looking 5 years ago, YouTube didn't exist, Facebook didn't exist, and these things now that are our daily parlance. And there are 1 billion videos shared every day on YouTube. Now, this didn't happen 5 years ago. So what we have at our disposal and what we have at our things of technology, particularly with young people, is the ability to connect and communicate to a wide variety of people in ways that were unimaginable only a couple of years ago. So what we have is an immense power of connection and communication with digital tools which actually don't cost any money in terms of being able to, doesn't cost any money to put anything on YouTube, it doesn't cost any money to create a Facebook fan site or a Facebook page. So what we've got is the ability to create lots of content and help to drive people to the content of the work that we're doing, the projects that we're running, the work that we're sharing, and the opportunity for us to be able to do that and to reach our audiences and to reach and get our messages out is it's phenomenal. And it's a really powerful tool that actually arts organisations are not harnessing more effectively enough, I don't think. And of course you can't do it all, and we all can't do it all at once, but there really is a sense that this is a bus that's moving, and it's moving pretty fast. And things are always changing, and the argument that, well, I don't really know how to do that stuff now, so I won't, actually isn't really a valid excuse. You've got to get on the bus and get your hands dirty and really, really get on with this stuff. And also take the lead from young people. Young people are doing this all the time. I mean, people like me are sort of, nearly 100. The fact is that we're still doing it, but we have stuff, young people will design our pages and help to create some of the content. Actually, your greatest asset are the cohort of people with whom we work. So we should just actually be sharing and making that work available for as many people as we possibly can. How best can you keep up is just basically keeping interested and thinking of the possibilities. I mean, one of the key things is that the game changer has been really the iPhone and the iPhone apps that have changed. And what people have is often the arguments used that some young people are digitally excluded, and I take that on board, that lots of young people don't have access to the internet or broadband in their home, and that's just the case. But they do at school, and they do also in youth centres. I think that most places should be Wi-Fi enabled, or maybe have your technology there, because the power of the stuff in our hands at the moment in terms of mobile technology is the big shift. Most young people, 97% of young people have a mobile phone, and they'll communicate via text and SMS, and they'll also send messages that it may be internet enabled, they may be able to get onto Facebook and that sort of thing. So all of that stuff where you're able to interact and to create things on the fly is really important. Those sort of things where you can take a picture, you can put it on, you can post it onto your Facebook site or your Twitter feed or whatever you're doing, live from the place that you're doing it. I was just talking to my workshop group here this afternoon. Workshop is that we saw a performance last night, and there's a great Wi-Fi connection in the theatre, and I had my Mac opened, and if I'd have just pressed play on that could have streamed that show around the world. Because we have live streaming on our, it's a free opportunity. Go to livestream.com. You can live stream the stuff, and anybody who wasn't able to come and see the youth theatre show, so that's people, not only around the world, but also around, 20 miles from here, because they can't get here from transport, could also watch and participate in a live event. And we're not playing smartly enough with that technology, because the live thing's still got to happen. We've still got to make the work. And the worst thing we could be accused of is that more people end up seeing it. Yeah, there are some really good networks. There's one called the Ning network, N-I-N-G, and Ning.com, which was a free site, but now you might have to pay a little bit, about $10 or whatever, to get a site. But basically, that's like Facebook for your particular project. So, for example, we're running a conference called ShiftHappens in July, which is in York, and that's shift-happens.co.uk. But also we've got a Ning site, shifthappens.ning.com. Ning is Chinese for peace, so that's what it means. It's an odd word. What it means is that you can upload your profile and your photographs and things like that, and you can also have your own stuff. For people who don't like Facebook or are worried about Facebook, because people are doing mafia wars or doing Farmville and throwing sheep at each other. Actually, this is a kind of a site which enables people to network and to actually network because they're specifically interested in that particular project or that particular group. And we're part of a European project called Platform 11 Plus, which is looking at work for 11 to 14-year-olds across 13 countries in Europe. And we've got platform11plus.ning.com. So if you have a look at that, it's platform 11, number 11 plus.ning.com. Have a look, or just Google it. And you can see, because people are able to, teachers and youth theatre leaders are able to post photos and stuff on there about their work. But also there's what's called the huddle spaces, which means that people, because some content is, people want to have the discussion which isn't in the public domain, you can set up those spaces which are closed, so people and teachers and, so there's like protection issues around that. It can be a closed environment which people can share information. That's really powerful. So the Ning sites are really, really cool. Twitter is very powerful, but it's not everyone's cup of tea, but it will become much more, it's not going to go away, this stuff. Facebook, of course, and Facebook fan sites and things like that. And of course, well, people get concerned about this kind of stuff, but let's be honest, if people are using it properly, and actually people self-police this stuff. I mean, the young people will tell you if there's things that aren't right on it, and they'll tell you. So I think there's a real thing that we can utilise some of these networks and platforms. But the Ning platform is really interesting. Livestream.com is really interesting because again, you can get a free with a camera like this into your laptop. You can be streaming live anything you're doing, rehearsals or a chat or a broadcast or an interview with a director or interview with a designer or edit, whatever, and do it live and also archive it. Well, I'm sort of director of the festival and the programming. I went to a conference 3 years ago in the States, and it's called TED. And if you want to spend a little bit of time looking at stuff, look at TED.com and look at some of the speeches on there. And there's the most downloaded speech at the moment is by Sir Ken Robinson on creativity and education. And it's through seeing that particular speech and TED talk that I wanted to set up ShiftHappens. And in fact, I'm delighted to say that Ken Robinson's going to be speaking live from LA, doing a live link and a live Q&A for us. Because he actually, in terms of creativity and education, is the one who gets it. Because he's the one who says that actually what we're doing at the moment is educating the creativity out of our young people, and that's what schools are doing. He says that, in fact, if you ask any go into any class of 4-year-olds and ask who's an artist, everyone will put their hand up. And you go back in successive years and more people are going to put their hands down. So actually we're not doing something right. And we've got to put the creativity agenda back on, which is why this year we're so pleased to have Ken Robinson speaking. We've got people who are digital artists. We've got John McGrath from National Theatre Wales. We've got arts practitioners, digital practitioners, creative digital pioneers, all coming together at York Theatre Royal on the 5th and 6th of July. And actually we're going to be streaming it and everything like that, because it's about where there's dialogue. Dialogue takes place in between all that stuff. And when you put people together who are interested and passionate and care about what we can do with this material, there's a guy called Jonathan Harris coming over, and he said something really interesting, which just stuck with me. He's an artist, and he said, what on the internet at the moment are people going to want to care about going and revisiting in 20 years' time, as you would a piece of art in a gallery? And there isn't anything out there at the moment, but he's working on it. And he's encouraging people to think like that, and to really think big and say, I want to create something here in this new medium, this completely new world, that we can actually say, we're proud of this. It doesn't copy our world now, but actually people are going to want to visit this in 20 years' time. We want to make works of art that sit there in this digital world, this new landscape. And I'm really keen to do that, and some of the assets that we've got from our work and that are being creative, we should be encouraging our young people to be creative, as Ken Robinson says, to be aiming really high, to use the materials, the stuff that we got now, of this theatre stuff, but actually to reinvent it, to remix it, to do the mashup of it, and to create the stuff which goes on there, which hasn't been done before. And that's why I'm an optimist around what this stuff can do, and it's why I'm passionate about the possibilities that this world and this landscape offers us as artists and practitioners, and we shouldn't be scared of it. In fact, all it is the toolbox has just got bigger.